We are the men who stare at cups. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Drew, and we are live from the Phoenix Ridge Studios. Yeah. Hey, cheers, man.
Cheers.
All right. So today we're talking about existentialism and recessions.
Yeah, very topical today.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that a recession is the byproduct of greed having gone out of control.
Totally.
Right? And by greed gone out of control, what I mean is that when you put all your eggs in the basket of what could theoretically be, rather than the eggs in your basket of who am I and what am I doing to produce value and meaning today, when all of society gets caught up in speculation, we wind up where we are right now.
Be careful with DeFi.
So, yeah, that's true. Nice fair warning. Well, so my question to you is this. Is there room in the existentialist toolkit for the speculative investor?
I'm just going to go ahead and on a knee-jerk and say yes.
You're going to say yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you saying no?
Yeah,
Good.
Certainly saying no.
That's good television.
Well, just tell me, how on earth did you wind up at yes?
Knee-jerk, intuition.
Knee-jerk. Okay. Sure. Well, okay. And how is there meaning? Okay, so here's my argument against speculation and investing as an existentialist.
So you mean specifically investing?
Yeah, I mean mostly the speculation. I don't mean like making a plan and working your plan. What I mean is speculation. Like investing in something you have no idea about in hopes that it will return gains and mooning.
Oh, okay. Then mostly no, but maybe a sliver of yes.
Yeah. So my argument against crypto has always been that you should never invest in crypto, but you should build in the crypto space. Now, of course, I'm not perfect about this. This is a message I've preached for a very long time. And even I get caught up in investing in things that clearly I don't know anything about. Right? But more than that, right? You got the housing recession. Popping. You got car, like the automobile recession. It's popping. These bubbles. You got all these things. And at the end of the day, what's really funny is that the only thing that's not in recession is things that actually provide real value.
Yeah.
Like real value. So in my experience, it's like, okay, well, if you have a product that you make that sells for a fair price that people want, they're going to buy it.
Well, hey, you can make $20 an hour at McDonald's right now.
$20 an hour. Okay, so we're deep in recession and McDonald's paying $20 an hour.
Well, sure, because they've set up a system, and say what you will about McDonald's, okay? We're not really going there, but they provide...
Yeah, whether they provide value or not, we're not going to argue.
Sure, but they provide something that people want at an affordable price, and it is food, technically, and that doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
That's right. Yeah. So everything that's bursting is everything that we, speculate about, right? Crypto, real estate... NFTs, right? Don't even get me started. Luxury objects, all this sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, in my mind, what the existentialist ought to do in the middle of a recession is, first of all, if you've done a good job as an existentialist, a recession literally shouldn't even touch you. But for the most part, because you should already be busy building things that have value that other people would like to purchase from you.
I agree. Yeah, you're pursuing your North Star, and you might go, ow, that hurt. But because you are actively pursuing what you are meant to pursue, and you are hopefully setting up streams of revenue based off of that, then you're going to go, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, my world isn't falling apart.
Right.
I just have to, budget a little bit.
Yeah.
Take some austerity measures. And you know what? If you're an existentialist, austerity measures can be great. They're limitations.
Right.
Limitations can be a wonderful thing.
Well, there's no creativity without limitations.
Absolutely.
Like unbounded anything. You can't even be creative in a world where everything is possible.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
limitations provide the framework under which creativity, and therefore, in my mind, you can't have meaning without creativity. You can't have meaning without the flaw that makes this thing unique in the space that it is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Like if flowers grew out of your carpet. No, I'm serious. If flowers grew out of your carpet, you'd just be like, dude, I'm so over all these dandelions in my carpet right now. Like, this is killing me.
Yes, the meaning of flowers would quickly diminish.
It would quickly diminish, right? Like they need to grow in a certain spot, and like that's the limitation for it. So if you take your creativity and you say, okay, where's the best place for me to plant and apply my creativity? I'm just going to stay there. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm going to do. And seasons come, seasons go. But what you're doing doesn't really change. Now, the true dangerous part about this, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to talk about Nietzsche's last man here for a second.
Sure.
So the last man stands as like the other side of the coin or whatever from the Übermensch.
Correct.
Okay? So Nietzsche comes down and he's like, hey, everybody, we're going to become like we're here. And then, man's got all the struggle and suffering. And at the end of the tightrope is, the Übermensch. And he's going to come to save us all. And everyone's like, no, I'm really not really into it. And then he comes down. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to preach something else. I'm going to try a different tack here. I'm just going to preach the last man. The last man wants safety and security, entertainment. He doesn't want to work. I mean, like, he's like a sloth. Sloths are going extinct because having sex is too exhausting.
That's hilarious.
Yes, that's very last man-y, right? So
it's like Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So
no thanks, pig.
So you got all this. This is, and you know what and Zarathustra. Do you know what the people say when he presents this idea? Oh my God, where can I get that? Where can I hit that? Like they actually don't hear it as a warning. They actually hear it like, dude, that sounds amazing.
Sure. I don't know if this is true, but I heard rumors that there was well, this is true. There was a Brave New World show that came out.
Okay.
And like Zoomers were watching it, and they're like, "Yo, that looks lit."
We love this idea.
Yeah, man, give me some Soma, And it's like, oh boy, did you miss the point?
Oh, they were like, "Give me some
they're
Soma."
just banging all day and eating Soma, like just hanging out. Playing centrifugal bumble puppy, man.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
okay. I don't know if that's actually true.
No.
I heard that.
It is true. It is true because if you ask like any kid what they want to be when they grow up, they're going to tell you they want to be a YouTuber, or they're going to tell you that they want to like open toy boxes or whatever, or play Minecraft. Like,
yeah.
It's so tragic when you present the idea of Soma and then everyone's like, sign me up, man. That sounds amazing. And that's really what happens in a recession. Hey, I can get all this money without doing anything? Without providing any real value?
Right. Well, look at the people who were on unemployment during COVID.
Yeah, right.
They're like, yeah.
Well, they were like, this is amazing.
Like, I make more doing this than I did at my job.
Yeah. So is it... So I did we talk about this in the last podcast? Did I question the idea that is it smart to make money without providing value?
I'm not sure if we've really hammered that one yet. So
okay.
Let's go for it.
So let's take all the crypto bros.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're making money, you're not actually providing any value. Right?
Yeah.
But if you make money without providing value, you're a thief or an idiot.
Maybe even a parasite if you want to go.
Well, most certainly.
Yeah.
And so I think that one of the great disconnects we have, and this is really the existentialist dilemma in the 2000s, 2010s, 20s, is that we all feel this need to produce value, to do something we love, to find our little flaw that makes us beautiful and to enhance it and to push it out into existence. But the warring sides all around us are saying, no. You got to make money doing something like, you got to get in on the newest Bitcoin thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get in on, this new platform or this new app.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what your soul is telling you.
No, I mean, I remember the first time I had Bitcoin fever, and I
Fever
had to step aside
in the morning.
once my temperature got back down to normal.
Fever all through the
I was
night.
like, oh my god! Like I was turning into Gollum for a minute,
Oh, it happens.
and I was annoying the bejesus out of my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian's talking about Bitcoin again. That's great. And then I actually had to look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, hey, Brian, do you actually care about the technology itself and it making the world a better place? Or are you obsessed with being the guy that 10x'd your money?
Are you obsessed with being the guy who made... Are you obsessed with being the guy that everyone perceives as smart because you made a decision that you saw that they didn't see, therefore validating your contrarian nature because, hey, screw you, I made money because... I'm sorry, I don't mean to crap all over your contrarian.
You know me so well.
But we all are that way. We all want to be able to be like, screw you, I did this 10 years before you did.
Yep.
Now I am validated in my...
I'm a maverick. I am so cunning.
But what does that have anything to do with what you think has value in the world other than just your insecurities about your inability to provide value to the world are on full display? That's every single crypto, bro.
Preach.
So you can't have this sort of notion that you are making the world a better place, because you're not, because you haven't actually put any of you into the world, right? So the reason that recessions don't matter for existentialists is because we don't really care about money necessarily, because it's all about what... The way I look at it is, how would I know that I existed today? Did I make a piece of art today that proves that I existed? Did I, help somebody today that proves that I existed? Did I bring a smile to somebody's face today? What did I do today?
You spend valuable, wholesome, awesome time with people you care about, friends, family, loved ones, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're making this podcast today.
Yeah.
Today. I don't know what day it is.
Thursday.
It is Thursday. And when we go to post this, there will be evidence that we believe what we preached because we did this thing today. And you made the intro song, right? You made some art. I wrote a little bit on my book today.
Which is awesome.
And the way that you can prove that you are an existentialist is by proving to us that you watched the video by leaving a comment below. I mean, that's really how we'll know that you're actually valid. Otherwise, we're just going to say, what are you doing here?
I mean, we'll keep talking into the void till the end of time because we're existentialists.
I like to talk into the void.
But if the void started talking back, that would be pretty cool too. So go ahead and leave a comment, ask us a question. If you leave a question in the comments, we will tackle it in an episode.
Absolutely. So the big existentialist recession thing is that as you climb the mountain for being existentialist and trying to find the meaning of life, and you realize that the meaning of life is that you have to then produce this you have to accentuate this flaw that you have that is actually the flaw in the diamond that makes it beautiful. Whatever is happening monetarily in the world by a bunch of idiots who lost their money speculating has nothing to do with you.
Yes, that has nothing to do with me at all.
Or
no,
me.
I got your point, yeah.
Or me, or you, or the other guy. So that's kind of where I look at it and I go, okay, the hardest part for the next year and a half. Now, you want to know the craziest part about this. Here's the craziest part. What does everybody do during a recession?
What do they do?
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They sit in fear and terror and they do nothing.
They seek comfort.
Seek comfort, seek entertainment.
They drink more, right?
They do. They drink more, right? They buy more consumer goods. They run up credit card debt. Okay? My point is
so
that...
they keep the economy alive a little bit.
Well, if you said to yourself, oh my God, recession is here, this is perfect. Now all those other people are finally going to go away. You'd be correct. And you're like, oh my God, recession is here. Now I get to actually start planting. Because I know that when the recession is over, I'll be the guy that has the thing. You'll be like Bubba Gum Shrimp. You'll be like the only guy with a shrimp boat left because you actually decided to build during the recession time when everybody else just sits around in fear and terror.
Yeah.
That's the silver lining of recessions, is that everybody resets. Right? So the people that were like all the crypto bros, they're all back to resetting. Right?
Yep.
So now what? They're gonna go and make podcasts? They're gonna go, no, they're too embarrassed to come out of the woodwork and say, oops, my bad.
Or they're one of the few that did really well off the whole thing, but then nobody wants to hear from you.
Nobody wants to hear from you
Shut up.
because, well, it's not saying that nobody wants to hear from you. It's that the fact that you speculated and made money through speculation, and the fact that you made money without producing value, you won't get any respect from me. And maybe you don't care because I'm just a guy talking into the void in YouTube. But at the end of the day, I respect no man who generates money without producing value first.
I dig that.
And that's the orientation we must have if we want to live some sort of life where we can look in the mirror and be like, man, it's a good thing that I was born.
Sure. I mean, I respect the guy that works 50 hours a week at a job that isn't impressive but has his shit together. I mean,
Well,
that's a respectful person.
sure. I'm not even talking about that guy. I'm just talking about the guy who
Well, I know you're not.
maybe he works 20 hours a week, but then he comes home and he writes that music, or he makes the painting, or he, does the artistic. He does the here's my floral flaw on display every day. Every day he gives his creativity a space to bloom. And I like this. There was an old Jordan Peterson thing where it was like art, but it was in a Q&A. So he didn't say it. One of the guys in the Q&A said it. And what he said was that he believed that art wasn't art until it was put on display. Other than that, it's just like you making something, I guess, for you, but it's not necessarily art.
It's art in its what's the word you would use? Infancy, or not infancy.
It could,
in utero, it
could be art.
It's potential art. It's in a state of
but real
lots of
art ought to
potentiality.
draw out.
Needs to be observed in order to exist. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So art should exist to draw out or inspire creativity in others, or to liberate people emotionally, or to feel something. Right. It's like emotional.
To show you beauty.
Yeah, it's like emotional food.
Yeah.
Like you don't always have to look at good art or epic art. Sometimes you want to look at like sad art or whatever, but it's just making art, right? So what I really believe is that the most important thing is that, yeah, you pay your bills, yeah, you do your deal, but then you have to say that the art is just as important. It's equal to working. And like we had said before about Zen and the grind, that if you accept the fact that when you make art, if you want to choose to make money with the art, you're going to have these logistical things. And you either learn how to enjoy the logistics. Like if you want to be a great farmer, like you have to learn the logistics of, soil balance and nutrients and stuff like that.
Yeah, farming's all logistics and constantly working.
Yeah, but being a chef, right? That's okay. So you could say that that's art, but the chef is totally dependent upon all these other, logistical nightmare type things that happen, right?
Yeah.
So what you want to get to is the place where eventually you know what kind of art you do so well that you only need maybe an hour a day for the art, and the other 7 hours or 8 hours, whatever, it could be spent on the logistics side because you're deft with your art.
Yep.
You don't sit down and say, I'm going to take 4 hours to find the perfect hi-hat. Like, you already know what that is because you're skilled at it. You know what's going on, right? So I don't think that the idea that we're in recession or whatever is negative to the existentialist.
No. And in fact, maybe it separates the wheat from the shaft as far as that goes.
I mean, it certainly does.
Yeah.
Because all the posers, the people who are all like pretending,
The posers.
yeah, right. They're like not even hella cool anymore, bro. All the posers, they just kind of like settle to the side, and then you get the chance to actually do something, and you just grind it out.
Yeah. Yeah, now's the time to put it into practice.
Right.
And to show the world, like, okay, look, like, it's okay to take a beating and go, ouch,
Sure.
this stinks.
Yep.
And maybe I need to be sad and upset for a little bit. Maybe I need to kick my own ass for a little bit. Fine. But then you come out of it, relatively quick. It reminds me of something I heard about Zen. They say a Zen master would, upon hearing terrible, awful, bad news, like your family just died or anything, anything ridiculoly tragic, they would like drop to their knees and just just go completely and just however long it takes, and then get up and go, okay,
Really?
back to work.
Is that right?
I heard that somewhere.
That's really good.
For what it's worth.
Well, I think that's what we all need to do. Because it's not like life doesn't do that to you. Life is full of an incredible amount of betraying rug pulls.
Sure.
Right?
It is. That's part of it.
It is. So that, to me, I had this kind of feeling a long time ago that as I went down the existentialist path, I was like, okay, I'm taking so much responsibility for everything in my life that it's becoming tyrannical. Because
right, yes.
what could I could take responsibility for anything at all times, and it was almost impossible for me to disassociate what is the thing I need to take responsibility for, and what is something that's like, yeah, that's a weed, I'm not going to pull it right now because I just didn't want to be here in the moment right now. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I think, okay, what we're looking for is to not beat ourselves up or berate ourselves for not being productive enough in all things.
Yeah, man, beating yourself up too much is I think, a hell of a problem. I think especially in like the masculine side of existentialism.
Yeah.
People will get stuck there, where they'll binge on Jordan Peterson, and while I think he's explaining things pretty well and offering sound advice in general, it can still lead to this kind of, am I good enough daddy complex?
Yeah, this kind of responsibility psychosis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be.
Well, and I've been there. I've been there so many times.
Sure. Yeah.
And what I found is that, like, when you're in a recession, everything just gets pulled out. All these bubbles pop. Everything that you thought was something, meaning everything that you thought you were being responsible over, everything you thought you were being responsible for, is now just like, maybe. And so there was and is one thing that you should be responsible for, that no matter what the economic climate is, no matter the political climate, no matter the world geopolitics climate, what you have to be focusing on is finding a way to get that flower to bloom every day. And I heard from Robin Williams, I was watching a little bit, and he said that, God has gifted man with a little spark of madness. And your job is to not like get rid of it, or to like talk therapy your madness away. That little flaw.
Right, we touched on this in the last
Yeah,
episode. What was the Gurdjieff quote he brought up? I really liked that one.
Well, there's a lot of good Gurdjieff quotes, but
No.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Specifically regarding self-improvement?
Oh, the Gurdjieff quote about self-improvement is that self-improvement is anti-evolutionary. Like, you don't see dogs out there curling to like get bigger, dog biceps. Like, you don't see animals training.
they're animaling. They're just doing what
they're
they do
yeah,
in their
it's
nature.
much more Ellen Wattsy. Like they're just, you know, they're the deers are deering and the people are peopling and the sunflowers are sunflowering.
Yes.
Right? They're not like
And the verbs are verbing.
Yeah, and the verbs are verbing. And Bryan is Bryaning and Drew is Drewing. And that's but that's awesome. And that's the thing. Ultimately, when you go to stand before God, that's the thing that I think God is going to actually ask. He's going to say, look, I gave you this little piece of madness that separates you from the animals and it separates you from the machines. What did you do with that spark of madness?
The Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Right, man's red flame, or the red flower that the villain wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Totally.
Totally is that.
100%.
So I've been thinking about, we've been talking about this, the man that's always running. The running man.
Man on the run.
I've been talking about like man is just always on this run. But I had this thought the other day that when man is not running, he's dreaming. Or fucking. But dreaming.
I'm glad. See, I've been working so hard to say the F word less on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you got one in there.
Well, I've been thinking about. I like the line. I like the line that man is always on the run, or man is always dreaming. Man's always running, or fucking. Because at the end of the day, that act is just a. It's neither running nor dreaming. It's somewhere. It's very liminal between the two.
Sure.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And so I gotta believe that that's the recession-proof quality. That is the beauty of the existentialist journey. Right?
Because I'm tight.
Thank you. But that's the journey. I'm not so sure about like the Jungian archetypes, shadow integration, you know, blah, blah. Like there's just a lot going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can get more on board with the alchemy thing with regards to this. But at the end of the day, it's much more simple. Do you believe that the world has meaning? That you have meaning? Do you believe that God has given you a little spark of madness that the world needs?
And then if you did believe that, then what?
Then your job, then that's the actual job. If your spark of madness is that, I'll take my dad, for example. Okay? My dad loves people. I have no idea why or how he loves people. My dad was a prison chaplain for 26, 28 years.
Like a
near maximum security.
That's the name.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, that's the spark. My dad's not an artist. You know, he can play the saxophone, he can play chess, he can write, he can do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes him really mad, truly mad, is that he loves people. Like, truly loves them. And he's present with them. And if somebody stops him and says, hey, Trey, he will stop, turn around, and give you 100% of his attention.
Very cool.
And that's, to me, that's just like mad.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful quality, but like to an extreme. You know, it's like.
So that's the job. And I like that it just makes everything simple. I think that the paralysis by existentialists is real.
Oh, yeah.
Because we try to, and you know what I think it comes down to?
What's that?
Creating a hierarchy of meaning.
Yeah.
So
something we talk about a lot.
So
what's in your pantheon?
Well, no. What I mean is this: Bryan is a nurse, and Bryan saves lives.
Okay.
That's Bryan's spark of madness. Bryan's spark of madness is more important than Bryan with an I. Because Bryan with an I, well, you know, he's just a musician. He doesn't save. It's not like he's saving lives. We can switch the Y's and the I's if you like.
It's very important that we do. Okay.
All right, Bryan with
Bryan
the Y.
with a Y. We're the snowflakes because it's a cool Y.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So
then the I think is more common, and they're more stiff. And
well, and then everybody says, well, my spark of value is not that important. I just like gardening. I'm not exactly saving lives here. So I'm going to aspire to save lives rather than aspire to garden, even though your spark of madness exists in the space of gardening. But we feel so guilty.
Mm.
We feel so guilty that we're not the madness of life saving.
Right, or the rock star that risked it all to get where they.
So you know what? Why even try? If gardening is what I like, whatever. And I think that there's a real devaluing of the gift God has given you.
I feel that, yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about, the guy who works 50 hours a week or whatever. It's like, why? There's too many. I think too many people do devalue themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I entirely agree. Or other people will devalue them for really dumb, superficial things when they themselves aren't really necessarily living meaningful lives, but they're able to get in past the threshold to go to the country club because they did some stupid speculative nonsense, and now they think they're better than you.
Right. And look, like you could have millions and millions of dollars. You could have all this different stuff. But if somebody walks up to you and they don't sense that mad spark of divinity, you will not come across as human.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I hear in some of the wealthier circles too. Like they'll be aware of that, and they actually don't want to hang out with the guy who got lucky. That isn't interesting. That
Right.
isn't really obsessed with climbing mountains or spearfishing or whatever.
Right.
You know, they're like, well, what are you bringing to the table? Do we want to hang out with this guy? Yeah. So what? You have $10 million. That guy over there is $40 million.
He has 40 million.
Doesn't freaking matter. Like, are you
But
interested?
that guy over there,
What do you do?
he's got no money, but maybe he does this thing and he inspires people in such a way that never mind the amount. Well, this goes into the next piece, which is analytics. One of the dangerous things is we say, okay, well, I'm passionate about our podcast or music or manufacturing this good. If we get overly caught up in analytics, you start losing creativity in the math. And that's one of the bigger concerns too. So in a recession, everything is just negative math instead of positive math.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Sure.
like math, and then you have like a plus or minus with some sort of parentheses, and then you have like, plus insanity, and that's recession.
Yeah.
Right?
That sounds about right.
So rather than saying, Bryan just needs to make some art every day, we wind up at Bryan needs to make art that has this analytical objective, that has this goal setting, so that he can meet this hustle culture idea, so that he can buy low and sell high and become a guy who was really smart during the recession and flee for the hills.
Okay.
That's ridiculous. Because all of that analytics, you're gonna lose the spark.
Yeah.
Spending all of your energy trying to capture lightning in a bottle rather than just becoming the guy who could just make lightning whenever you want to.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you should just be practicing being who you are every day, no matter what the climate is looking like.
Yeah.
No matter what the weather. I mean, yeah, you don't want to be too dependent on the weather.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
you-
that whole golden age concept. I think I brought that up before. It's in that initiatic spirituality book I was reading.
All right. Who's the author of that? Do you know?
I forget his name.
Okay.
But I think it's called initiatic spirituality. And so this is a concept, this is that whole like Kali Yuga concept that goes back to like the
With Kali Yuga.
Hindu, like Ayurvedic, whatever. So they have this idea that just like the four seasons, kind of
Yep.
like on the next level, on the larger level, you
Okay.
have these like eons and these cycles. Much like the seasons, you have you have summer, spring, where everything's blooming and everything's golden and everything's meaningful. and everything makes sense. Then you have this like, winter where everything's like really materialistic and people are suffering and they've like lost their way or whatever. And they typically will say that we're in like the age in that darker, more materialistic age, so far from the golden spiritual age.
Right.
But they say that it doesn't matter what time it is, that you can access the golden age and be of the golden age in any age.
Okay.
And that should be like a spiritual work, like a spiritual pursuit for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not being selfish by making your flawed art. That's not selfish. That's not weird. That is you participating in this golden age idea. But you have to get good at it. And the more you practice, and the more you and not practice with the intent to be great or to publish. Never mind that. The more you just practice the starting the fire, starting the lightning. Just practice it. Enjoy it. Take a risk. Sit down with your art and say, I'm going to try something artistic today, and I don't know if this is going to work or not. But if you learn something and you get some sort of really cool thing, if you get one tiny object out of that experience, you'll wind up treasuring that moment more than the cool speculative investment that you made earlier.
Yeah.
Because you made something. You actually discovered something that was inside of you that 10 minutes hence was not there. And then it was. And like you unlocked a new part of you that you can now go and give to the world, and you had to suffer to go through that process of discovering this new part of you because it was uncomfortable.
That makes it very lasting, very meaningful. I mean, the most fun I've ever had in my life has been doing something creative.
Correct. When you wind up with more compassion for yourself,
Talk about
too.
Fucking real quick, technically that's creative.
It can be.
I mean, it's where we came from.
I mean, yeah, it can be creative. It cannot be creative. It can be
being a little poetic here, but it's like the creative force. Like,
absolutely.
I'll go ahead and say that, yeah. Or sitting down with someone and like coming up with a really cool idea and going for it, even if it doesn't work. Could still look back fondly at that and be like, well, we were trying, like we were fighting a good fight, and we had a great time.
Absolutely, and that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like that matters.
Does matter. Don't ever let anyone tell you it doesn't. Don't let that voice in your head that said like, well, you haven't monetized this yet. Don't let that get you down. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whether it's published and everybody loves it or not, at the end of the day, that's not what's important.
What's important is that you wake up every day making a practice of being yourself and accessing your spark of madness and structuring yourself so that you do have to be careful with the spark of madness. Yeah, if you go a little too hard with that, it can just blow out.
Well, yeah, and that's where shadow integration is.
Now you're
is
Sid
helpful.
Barrett, you know what I mean, or you're Vincent Van Gogh.
Well, that's where the shadow integration is helpful.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like that's
totally,
where
definitely right
you're
there.
not.
That's a good spot for it.
But if you're doing it every day, because my deal with the shadow integration is always that there's nothing evil about your shadow. It's just a part of you that wants to be discovered, that wants to be brought into the light and loved and integrated from compassion.
Right. So the integration would even be like conversion. Think more like alchemical.
That's right.
You're turning shit into gold.
Yeah, you're turning the shadow curiosity thing into self-discovery, into skill sets, and into something that you then share. So taking the shadow from being this idea of the evilness inside of you that is selfish, that wants to manipulate and take from everything around you, and saying, no, look, that's not what the shadow is. The shadow is...
It can be, though.
It can be.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
What the shadow can be is that small voice that's saying, I want to discover something new.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious about this. And you say, okay, Shadow, I'm going to lovingly and compassionately take you up on that on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And then on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, you got to do it. Right? And if you keep suppressing that voice, eventually it will turn into this repressed monster that will take over your life. But if you make a habit of giving your shadow time and space for you to then explore these curious things that you have inside of you and apply them to your flaw, you'll create wonderful things. And the best part about that is that you could have a foreclosure letter on your dining room table, but if you just painted your best painting you've ever done, that letter's going to seem a little less painful.
A little less painful.
A little less.
Yeah.
Not painful.
Those things are still painful. We're not trying to tell you.
No, they
because,
are.
See, there might be a danger in being too. You know, you're not actually existentially grappling with these things. Like you might actually just be numb.
Or you're being Pollyanna about it. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, so you could mess up that part, so to speak, and then what you're actually doing is just putting the suffering off until later. You know,
yeah, the point is not to say that you should make paintings instead of working. No, that's the other thing about Americana, man. We love binge culture. Everything is a binge. You know, like
something's addictive. And that's
we did 3
point.
Podcasts in one day at one time.
We did,
and that was all right.
Yeah,
and then we didn't do a podcast for how long afterward?
A long time.
Okay.
Yeah,
because that's what happens when you binge. It's not healthy. Because you can only explore so much. It's like a muscle group. You can only explore so much of your shadow before your exploration shadow muscles are tired. And it's about an hour.
Yeah, that's why I never understood, to go back to vulgarity, that the fucking all night thing. I'm like, what? I mean, 8 hours? Why would you want to? Like, what?
Well, you don't mess with Sting's tantric sex thing. I mean, if you want to go there, it's fine. But your shadow, your shadow is a muscle, and you have to learn to work that out. And if you just sit down and just mash out 8 or 9 hours of shadow integration through art and flaws, like you're gonna burn out and you're gonna injure your shadow. You're gonna injure yourself, and you're not gonna work on it for a while. And then it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, well said.
100%. So that is how you manage a recession as an existentialist.
There it is. Yes. Like the monkey emojis on your phone.
That's right. Anyways, I'm Drew.
I'm Bryan.
And we are the Men Who Stare at Cups, live from Phoenix Ridge Studios.
Let's talk.
This was fun today.
Like, subscribe, all the things.